This is an extraordinary representation of Elton John's life, but it's not a biopic.
No. No, you're absolutely right. You're the first person to say that. No, it's not. It's a memory. It's a trip down memory lane for Elton at a particular time, and he's our narrator, he's our storyteller, and he's kind of unreliable, which is what I like. He remembers things wrong, or he kind of, adds things on that weren't there. It's sort of a bit more fantastical than it was, or it's a bit darker than it really was, maybe. I wanted to play with that idea that allowed the music and the songs to play in a way that maybe we don't expect it, so it can be a musical.
Yeah. I love that you just said that about the music, because I'm a huge fan of Elton John.
Oh, yeah.
I saw him in November on his farewell tour.
Great.
And yet, I feel as if this was almost the first time I've heard some of these songs after watching this movie.
Well, that's a huge compliment. Thank you.
It was this completely different understanding of some of this music and this real emotional connection after watching some of these songs play out on screen.
Yeah.
Did you work with Elton and digging deep into the emotional connection on that, or was that a little removed?
It was a little removed. I think, what he brilliantly did when I first met him, he said, you got to do you, as it were. You got to do what you need. I'll answer any question you want. I went for lunch with him for an hour, and we were there 4 hours later, and I was still asking him these questions that I thought he would be like, no, but he was like, oh, absolutely. He's sort of very open. So it made me realise that I had access to all these songs, and that, what Elton does brilliantly, his music sort of like moves us in a way that is so fantastic, and that I could pull that into the story. And of course there's the lyrics, which are a genius as well, but getting to use those lyrics and that music that I know can move us in a certain way, I get to reimagine what I Want Love means. And I know that it's a great dramatic story, and the music is so beautiful, but it means I could plonk it in 1950s Britain around a dining room table in a house that's kind of loveless, and we understand, these people all want love, and they're in a family and they're all missing each other, but and that became like this dramatic storytelling device that was really exciting, and it means that the songs have a different dimension.
Yeah. I have to say, I saw Elton in concert back in November for his farewell tour.
Is that one I saw?
It was in Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but your performance throughout this movie brought me right back to the magic that I experienced at that concert.
Oh, good. That's great to hear. That's
It was
fantastic.
incredible.
Brilliant.
Did you actually get to sit down with Elton and go through some of these, some of the songs that you performed, and just the concerts that he's done, the energy he brings to it?
Of course, I've talked with him at length about every element of the film and every element of portraying him. The performance sections are particularly interesting, and we take some license with them. So, for example, Dodger Stadium in our movie happens over sort of 30, 40 seconds. And obviously in reality it was much longer than that.
Right.
So the way I approached it was that I tried to recreate recognisable stills from it. So there's a lot of Terry O'Neill documented that concert, that famous iconic concert, and so if you go and have a look at them, then you might notice some of those postures in my performance.
Yeah. Pretty dead on.
Yeah. I can't do exactly what he did because we're working within a structure, and also to do exactly what he did's a bit boring, I think. Not that's unkind. I don't mean that. We might have to cut that because it might sound like I'm throwing shade.
No, and as you're talking to me, I'm noticing there's like glitter on your face.
Oh, there is?
Yeah,
that's
so
come
you're
off,
actually like embodying Elton completely right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know where that's come from actually. Unless there's someone's put shimmer in with moisturiser. Yes, I had the great privilege of having access to him.
Yeah, and even in your voice, you'd said before you had to learn how to kind of sing more rock a little bit. Which you hadn't done before.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a challenge. I found those numbers like Pinball Wizard and Benny and the Jets and Saturday Night's Right for Fighting. They kind of demand a bit of grit in your voice, and that isn't really something I'd done a great deal of before. And it's interesting how over time, with those muscles strengthening because I was doing so much singing, that I started to be able to access that a bit. And Elton said, I remember when I sent him Pinball Wizard, which was one of the last things I recorded during the shooting process. I went in on the weekend and recorded it with Giles in September, I think, which was months and months and months after we started. He said, "Okay, you've got it now." Which, you know, because I think to begin with, I don't think I had quite that strength in my voice. So.
I love how this movie uses his music to really drive the storyline, plot, and as well as the emotion throughout the film. You get a number where you get to sing, you get to dance. It was amazing. Tell me about that experience of singing one of these songs.
It's terrifying because, you know, it's very exposing singing, especially when you know that, you know, Elton's going to be watching the film, which you're then massacring his song. But I worked really hard with the team to kind of rehearse the song and the dance moves and all of that, so that on the day I'm not thinking about that and how I'm sounding, I'm thinking about the acting side of it and the emotional element of it. That's kind of what got me through it and distracted me from the fact that I was actually singing.
Yeah. I learned so much about his music just from watching this movie, and I was a fan.
Yeah.
And I thought I really understood it, but after watching, I completely see his music in a different light.
Same.
You said you're a fan, so did you learn anything?
Yeah, I learned
through
so
the
much because
process?
same thing. Like I was very familiar with his music, but there were even songs that I didn't know were Elton John songs that I loved. I was like, I love this song. This is an Elton John song. Like it's incredible. Yeah, I didn't know a lot about him. I certainly didn't know that he was a child prodigy. And I didn't know anything about his writing partnership with Bernie Taupin and just how beautiful that was and kind of cosmic and how unconditional the love is between them. It was really fascinating for me to get to kind of learn about a person and details about a person when you feel like you already knew them because you knew their music so well. And that's the joy of seeing a movie like this. And like you said, the device of having his songs help to tell the story. It's like a Broadway musical mashed together with like a epic concert, and a fantasy biopic.
In the film, you see, you know, these different interpretations of where the song comes from or what it's spurred on by, and you get to kind of listen to the lyrics differently. When I had my first meeting with Dexter to talk about the film, we went for lunch and he played me Rocketman, sung by Taron, and I heard the lyrics and knew again, and that's when I knew I really wanted to be part of it because I could feel Taron's interpretation through it.
You know, I love this because it's not really a biopic. It's
No.
so fantastical, but
Yeah.
it's a true, in my mind, representation of Elton John and his life. The darker moments and the lighter moments.
Yes.
And how his experience kind of opened others' hearts and minds to, you know, their own experience and kind of taking a look into what that looks like for someone.
Can you write that in a review and put it online?
It's all yours. It's all yours. But how do you hope that this film does that and sharing this message of opening hearts and minds?
I think, you know, all we can do as creatives is take the material, which is a fantastic script and these incredible songs, and the blessing of the great man himself, and we create our interpretation. You know, it's Dexter's vision. It's my performance. It would have been very different if it was a different director and another actor, and we have Giles reimagining the songs and bring all of his skills to bear on these iconic tunes, and you put us all in a pot together and you end up with this, and that's, you know, and you hope that people connect with it. So to hear someone like yourself say that is hugely validating.
I hope that there's some sort of, I mean, it seems like a big thing to say, but not from my, it's kind of inspiring in a way that, you know, here's a man who's been through so much and given so much, and there's sort of inspiration in his will to survive, his ability to survive, because we are all beset from every side with things that we have to navigate and get through, and we all got to feel that sometimes. Like, how do I just survive this week? You know, whether it's money issues or emotional things or whatever, and he could do it. You know, he's done it, and hopefully that will, you know, the film or the story can go somewhere. Oh yeah, I'm still standing. I'm still standing is a brilliant, simple notion, and to have it set to this music as well that lifts you and hopefully fills you full of, you know, ambition to go that step further. That would be, you know, if you could do that, that'd be great.
What did you take from the set? because there were so many amazing costumes and set pieces.
Do you know I really wanted to take some costume, and they wouldn't let me at the time. They wouldn't let me at the time. It's not in my contract or
Did you
anything.
sneak it, kind of?
Well, what I did do is I managed earlier this year to get them to give me the glasses that I write your song in, because I always loved them and I wanted them for myself. But what I did with them is I had Elton's prescription put in them, his reading prescription, and I gave them to Elton for his 72nd birthday, and he wears them when he's doing his crossword.
That has to be an amazing feeling. I mean, can you imagine just sitting
It was
here with the
amazing when I
crosswords
saw him a
doing
couple of
those
weeks
fantastic-
later. It was amazing when I saw him a couple of weeks later and he had them and he was wearing them. He asked for his readers and someone, that was amazing. Because, And do you know what else was amazing is that when I gave them to him, I got EHJ put on a leather case. And he went, oh, that's fantastic. And I opened it. And before he'd even pull them out, he went, your song. And I was like, Elton, how do you know? You haven't even seen the movie yet. And he said, I've seen the trailer. And I was like, Elton, I wear a gazillion pairs of glasses in that trailer. How did you... He doesn't miss a trick.
What an incredible man.
Your song. I was like, before he even pulled them out. That's amazing.
Yeah, well, congratulations. Phenomenal job.
Thank you.
Seriously. Phenomenal.